Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the Jimmy O Show, episode 10. Coming at you with Darius Hodges, backfield record for Tulane Green Wave. We're here at the Roof Fitness and Stack Coaches Studios. Darius, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Darius is I think everybody kind of knows him now in Tulane world, but for those outside, Darius led the conference in tackles for loss last year, 16 and a half. Yep, 5 sacks. Darius, in fact, you can help us with the draft analysis right now. So you sacked both Matt Corral and Desmond Ritter.
Yes, sir.
Last year. Which one is a tougher out as far as you're concerned?
I think Matt Corral probably was the toughest.
Yeah.
He a tough kid. He'll take a hit and just brush it off and go into the next one. While Desmond Ritter, I feel like he couldn't take that many hits, and they did well with scheming around him to protect him. But I think Matt Corral probably was the toughest quarterback.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is Matt's actually kind of a smaller guy, but you're right. I mean, a lot of times they put him there, 5-man protection. Everybody's out in routes, and in those situations, quarterbacks tend to take a little bit of punishment versus, Cincinnati was a lot more boot and
full slide protection using the tight end.
Yeah. 6-7-man protections and with the boot action, using a play action to kind of keep you guys from, because we don't get too nerdy on it, but you got to have run responsibility first, right, before you get there. And so, and we'll go back into the background, but I'll stand on that topic. 16 and a half tackles for losses, 5 sacks. So really, 11 and a half of those TFLs were run plays that you've blown up.
Yes, sir. And I felt like I started doing better with my TFLs and start growing my statistical success when the team started coming together. I felt like those last 4 or 5 games, everybody just started coming together on the defensive side of the ball. I felt like what we built last year, it's going to carry over this year. It's going to be pretty good season for us.
Yeah, you definitely saw that, right? Like, I mean, it was tough early in the year. Now, I'd say you got out a slow start, but really just you really didn't. I mean, I was kind of surprised, and this is a reflection of what you're saying. I was like, man, Darius just kind of seemed not to come out of nowhere because you had a couple flash plays your redshirt freshman year, the COVID year. I guess the COVID year.
COVID, yes.
Yeah, because you really got 3 years left. I was, as the team started playing better, you make a big play after big play. It's like, man, look at this guy. But really, when you look at it game by game, you had 7 tackles or something against Ole Miss, 2.5 tackles for loss. I mean, Cincinnati, you got out. I mean, so really early in the season, Ole Miss was the 3rd game.
Yeah.
But I guess when Ole Miss is trying to score 70 on us, it don't look as good. Individual stats only get you so far, right?
Yeah, I felt like, I wasn't really trying to get too much caught up in my individual stats. I didn't know until the end of the year I had that many TFLs. I was focused on us trying to win. I feel like we got set back with the hurricane last year and going to Birmingham. I feel like it set us back kind of in a bad way, and it kind of messed up the start of our season. But I feel like how much we prepare, how much we work next year is going to be a good year for us.
Very good
as a whole.
Hey, and look, so you had mentioned right before we came on, we want to talk about you from Montgomery?
Yes, sir, Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay, so look, quick little story for you there. You mentioned one of the alumni you stay in touch with is Zach Harris. So 2 summers ago, my family and I are traveling back from the Carolinas from a family vacation, and it was a hurricane threatening New Orleans. It was 2 years ago. It ended up not being a bad one for maybe it's Zeta. But some people evacuated, so we stopped in Montgomery on the way home. We stayed at the Embassy Suites down there.
Downtown.
Yeah, Martin Luther King, I believe, Boulevard, I think. But the Embassy Suites there, and sitting in the lobby because the Embassy Suites got that thing where they have the social hour or whatever. So a way to feed my kids something without having to pay too much for it. And we go down there and then look over the table next to me. I see this guy with Tulane gear. I was like, man, are you Zach? He's like, yeah, yes, sir. I'm Zach Harris. I was like, okay. So we got to talking because obviously I know a lot. So I was in your hometown with your guy, Zach Harris, before I ever met you, before I ever got to know you, man. So anyway, I find that interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's a crazy thing. It's crazy. I have no idea why Zach was in Montgomery, but it probably was for a good reason though.
Yeah, they were evacuating. He went with his mom and dad. You know, they were getting out of town ahead of the storm that was around. So
because I think that's the closest route, or it's Birmingham. It's either one. I think those are the evacuation points for New Orleans. So
yeah. Now, did you grow up an Auburn fan in Montgomery? I know that's kind of Auburn territory geographically.
I grew up an LSU fan. I was a big LSU fan.
Go Tigers.
Bradley's excited back here. I can't allow to go Tigers on my podcast and go unchecked. See, the difference between you and I, Darius, I played at Tulane when, 92 straight years into the season playing with LSU. That ended the year before I got there. So I only played LSU once, but you were trained to hate LSU.
Yeah.
Now you guys, your generation, that's kind of more of a thing of the past. Huh? You almost know those guys and are friends with them.
Yeah, because recruiting is a crazy process. Like they'll recruit this area, and some people go to the SEC or the American Conference or Sun Belt or anything like that. Then we'll meet up. Like with Ole Miss, Samuel Williams and Brandon Mack are from Montgomery, and they both played at I think Samuel played at Lee and Brandon Mack played at Jefferson Davis. So I knew Brandon because we were pretty close. So then Samuel was an older guy.
Okay, yeah, Sam was an impactful player. In fact, talking to Joey on his show, he was one of, I think he said 5 defensive ends he lined up against this year that ran sub 4.7 40s at the combine.
Yeah, he's a pretty good athlete. He had this year. I think this year he needed that turning point to raise his stock, and he did that. So
yeah, he looks good. I always like that single digit down there in the line. Are you thinking about getting in that single digit at the Joker?
I thought about it. We might see it. We might not. It's high.
It's highly prized.
Yeah,
I get it. Well, I mean, carrying 280, that's always an imposing look when a 280-pound plus man's got that's a single number on.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, so growing up in Montgomery, LSU fan. So now I've said my piece about the Tigers. Give respect to a program that's won lots of national championships. I give them credit. Good football program. What was it about them that made you a fan?
The whole culture they had, and then me, then all my friends were Alabama or Auburn fans. I'm like, okay, I want to try something new. So I started looking at LSU. Then I created a love for just the LSU period. The Leonard Fournette, the Tyrann Matthews, to Odell's, Jarvis Landry. They had a lot of impactful guys on the LSU, on the previous LSU teams.
Yeah, well, now, so that's a bunch of New Orleans guys and then a guy from my hometown, Jarvis. Now, Jarvis is a lot better at football than me, but we're from the same place. And then all those New Orleans. So I guess in a way, though it pains my heart to hear you tell me you were an LSU fan growing up, I think because of that probably made you somewhat attracted to Tulane.
Yeah, the crazy story about this, I told Tulane, I told LSU, because LSU was recruiting me in high school at one point. And I told them and Tulane at the camp, because they, the camp they host every year.
Together. Mm-hmm.
I told them I was going to come to Louisiana regardless, where it was Tulane or LSU. So. Oh,
cool. Yeah. And so, we're glad we got you. And so, that joint camp actually has served Tulane pretty well, because we get guys. I mean, Darius, would you have even been aware of Tulane or visited Tulane, but had you not had that opportunity to go to the LSU staff, or wasn't quite like that, but it helped that LSU would be there?
I think it helped that LSU would be there, because it was Tulane that had interest at first, but I ran a 4.6, but I was playing linebacker, and I ran a 4.6, and I jumped 11 on my broad jump. And when I did that, that's when I got the interest from LSU at the camp. They had it. They hosted this one at the Saints practice facility.
Okay. And who was recruiting you when you were early on to get you to come to camp?
Coach Peoples, and Coach Curtis.
Jack Curtis?
Yeah, Jack.
Okay. Jack Curtis is known to have several guys that get after a quarterback pretty well. He saw something in you and developed a relationship with you.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think Coach Curtis was a good coach. Even though he's not with us now, I feel like he was one of the coaches that believed in me and in my ability.
I just heard a story, man. I'm not going to remember where it was. I think it may be the University of Buffalo, but there's a 27-year-old guy that just got a defensive coordinator job in college football, and he actually was on Coach Fritz's. He was like not even a GA probably, just a a helper on their staff at Georgia Southern. And I forget the guy's name, and Coach can correct me next time I see him. But, 27 years old. I mean, you're what, 21, 22?
Yeah, so that's 5 years of that's fat.
That's crazy, huh? But I mean, that was one of those things these people were talking about. It's like, well, he grew up, he coached under guys like Jack Curtis. I mean, obviously, it's a name that's respected in the industry, defensive industry, among the real football coaches. And so, you get recruited. You obviously turn some heads here. Who did you end up sort of choosing between when you ultimately chose Tulane?
Honestly, I was so set on Tulane that I signed early, but I announced my signing in February.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Okay.
So I signed early. It was a couple schools, a couple Power 5 schools came last minute and wanted to talk to me, but I was already signed, so it was wraps.
Yeah, good. And so 2019 was first year. You redshirted that year, right?
Yeah.
And then, we had Patrick playing your position. Well, actually, were we playing four down at that time? Was that after?
I was playing in. I played in my first 2 years.
Okay.
Then I played I played in and Joker this COVID year because Coach Curtis wanted me to know both just in case because how he had it was the end played Sam and the Joker played the Joker, and it's kind of interchangeable, so he wanted me to learn both of them.
Yeah, and so that's an interesting point. So it's because you could play both. If you're watching it from the stands, at least the way we played it under Coach Curtis and even Coach Hamp, it's almost like you said interchangeable because our defense end in a pass rush situation might be standing up. I'm saying as a fan watching it, it's almost like you could play either or, but that's not really the case, right? I mean, if you're the end, an individual might have the ability to play both, but they're defined position. In other words, the defense end lines up on the strong side of the formation, and the Joker's on the weak side, or
it's set up like that. But it might be certain calls where it might be flipped. It's all kind of different stuff, and I like the versatility that Coach Hamp brings with the plays that he brought up and like how is the whole culture he putting around the defense.
Mm. Now the way we play it, does the Joker end up having a little bit more pass drop, coverage responsibility?
Yeah, and I think as the Joker you have to. It's basically like an oversized linebacker. Honestly, that's why I feel like it is oversized linebacker worrying about the curl flats and the hooks and I'm about to say I feel like there's more coverage with the Joker than the end. Yeah, the end's almost on just about any situation. The end is typically rushing the passer, whereas our Joker, our standard four-man rush, no blitz, the Joker's probably coming. Yeah, but I think where the utilization of Joker comes in is we like to send a lot of A-gap pressure. You got Nick and Dorian, two all-conference level guys there. Nick's extremely good, particularly rushing quarterback from that position. So it gives you the versatility that you can basically stay in a zone blitz where you got hook flat responsibility or, even run with a man if you needed to. Yeah. And you bring Nick, who would be typically a coverage guy, he's actually the fourth rusher. So you're rushing four, but you're confusing the offensive line while still getting 7 out in coverage. Yeah, and Nick is an amazing player. Him and Dorian, Nick can play a lot of positions. Mm. Then people feel like he's undersized and things like that, but Nick is a great football player. Yeah, one thing that Coach Fritz really brought to the table at Tulane, I think when you look at the recruiting profile over the different years, there've been differences. But pretty much always had a bunch of Louisiana guys, always had a bunch of Texas guys. You'd have a few from Florida, and then you'd have a few from other states. But I think what Coach has really brought in is a real focus on Mississippi and Alabama, our two neighbors to the east. And you look at some of the players, right, that have come out, you and Nick and PJ, the Watts kids. PJ Hall was here. Darnell, he's from Gaston. Mm-hmm. Willie Langham. Who else? In the Georgia area too, there's a Cam from Georgia and Tennessee, because Pat from Tennessee. So right. I feel like the recruiting I feel like it's versatile. We do have a lot of Louisiana guys, but I feel like now it's kind of getting a mix from everywhere. Right. Mm-hmm. Now one Louisiana guy that's near and dear to my heart, even though I technically only met him very briefly, is Mandel, who's from my high school.
St. Charles Catholic, Mandel Eugene.
Yeah.
He's not quite the same position, but I mean, I imagine you're in the same room because you are a linebacker of sorts. You got to know Mandel a little bit.
Mandel, I really like Mandel. You know, he's young, he's still learning, but I feel like once he get across that learning curve from learning from Nick and Dorian, he's gonna be a great player. Mm-hmm. And I keep him because he my locker buddy, so we have our lockers like in numbers. So he's on my row in my locker. Mm-hmm. I talk to him all the time.
You know, his high school coach actually was the guy who recruited me. He was on the Tulane staff when I was being recruited. And then after their staff was let go, he ended up landing at my old high school, just total happenstance. I mean, he's from that area. But he's a legend in Louisiana football. Coach Monica and has won top 10 amount of games in the state of Louisiana and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, what he said about Mandel, and I think this actually goes for a lot of you guys. He said, look, Mandel's a guy who, if he was 20 pounds heavier coming out of high school, I'd have had every SEC team come and get him. But because he was a little lighter, you know, maybe an inch too short or whatever from the ideal profile, you know, we end up stealing him. Now, I mean, you know, you see how much talent we got because a guy like that hadn't gotten a field yet. But really, that's what we see over and over. I'm sure LSU told you, you know, Darius, if you're 2 inches taller, we'd offer this costume. You got everything we want. You move like what we want, you know, whatever, but you're too short for us. And now you've proven everybody wrong, right?
Yeah, and I feel like it's a lot of guys like that. Like Dorian, he was a little light. You know, Nick was he probably was a little too short. We had I'm trying to think about who else. Adonis, he's a pretty good nose guard. They probably say he was too short because he's 5'10", 5'11", and things like that. I feel like that with those type of things, they put chips on those guys' shoulders. Our name and it made them to being good football players. And I feel like, you know, I think the height and the weight thing, I really think people need to start looking past it because like nowadays you see all kinds of people get drafted or have success in college football. They're not the ideal height of quarterbacks they used to be or ideal height of a linebacker. Like I could think of an NFL player, Hassan Riddick. Hassan Riddick is 6'1", 230. Yeah. He's one of the best outside linebackers in the NFL right now.
He wrecked us back in those Temple days. I had Joey on. Quincy Roche got him pretty good too. He fessed up on that one. That's another Temple guy. But yeah, exactly right. Look, Darius, I think you would agree with me. You give me a choice. You give me two players. You give me one that's an ideal size for a position, average motor, you know, but good athleticism, you know, but the ideal size with average motor. You give me a guy who's an inch to 2 inches too short, has the right athleticism though for the position, and has a chip on his shoulder, who's got a big time motor because he wants to prove people wrong. I mean, I'm going to take that guy every day of the week for my football team because ultimately that's what that game about. The game's about. You on play 70, you on play 75. Who's still going to bring it? You know, at that point, right? Yeah. And it ain't about how you look getting off the bus; it's how you play on the field.
Yeah.
And so that's why I mean I love watching you guys out there because, like you said, Hassan Riddick. I want to ask you what pros you sort of model your game after.
You know, with me being 6'2" flat, it's like I think one of the ones I really, really deeply watch is probably Khalil Mack and I'll say Shaq Barrett. Those are two ones I watch.
Yeah, it's very similar build profiles as you, right? And so in terms of your game, both as I guess I want to talk about your run stuff. I mean, typically as Joker, your run fit responsibility is going to be to set the edge.
Set the edge or get this gap. It just depends on what's the play call and how we running things for that week. It could be all kind of different things. It could be getting the B gap from the C gap or stunting to the A gap and covering that. It's all kind of different things that Coach Handler brings to our defense that makes us a great defense, I feel like. Yeah,
I mean, you know, and that's a response really to all the different option looks I think you get now. I mean, you can't be predictable for a quarterback who's basically reading the end man, or he might be, you know, there's all these inverted veer type of looks where they're reading a defensive tackle or whatever. I mean, you got to confuse the look somehow. Yeah. And so a good way to confuse the look is the guy who lines up who you would expect to have in responsibilities. You think you're reading him, but really he's the B gap defender right there. So you're reading the wrong guy because the inline defender may be the linebacker scraping over top or even a nickel back or whatever, right?
Yes, sir.
And so but were some of these varied looks that Coach Hamp gave, in which you're lining up on the end of the line of scrimmage, but you're really a B gap guy. Is that sort of some of the plays where you got a bunch of these big run stuff numbers behind the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, it was. It's probably 40-50% of them.
Yeah, and so that speaks to sort of a fit with a talent, with coaching philosophy and a good marriage where you're actually maximizing your ability, but because the guy kind of understands your game, knows how to call a play to let you be impactful.
Yeah, sir.
And so as far as rushing a quarterback, that's the glory for you guys, is getting that sack. What do you consider your strengths as a pass rusher?
I consider my strengths as a pass rusher. I think I surprise people with speed. They really don't. They see my weight. They really don't believe I'm really that fast, and I kind of shock them out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. When the ball snap, I just jump out the ball and just go. I feel like that's probably one of my best things with pass rush, just going, playing football.
And I mean, turning that corner and playing with the levers, getting the bend and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's just so much to it, but great speed is a good place to start.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so much I can tell you as a tackler. So much of it is if a guy's got legit speed coming around the end, you're so worried about him getting a short corner on you. I mean, you may have a tendency to overset, and then now you can come back inside that power, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with keeping the tackle on his toes. Like that's one of the things I did, because me go stunning inside a lot. People were scared I was gonna go inside, so they'll shorten the corner. Or some games I beat tackles on the outside, and they'll jump set me. It's just all kind of different things. I seen a lot of good tackles. I think Tulsa probably had the best tackle I played since I've been at Tulane, number 78.
Mm-hmm. And they somehow, man, they just pump out good, big offensive lines that can actually move a little bit. Yeah. I'm always surprised. You wouldn't think Tulsa, it's not a recruit-heavy state. It's kind of not close. I mean, I guess it's kind of close to Dallas, but it's not. It's not an area of the country you'd think they'd be able to pull in a bunch of those guys. But they year after year, they got guys that can play up front. So Darius, what are you doing off the field, man? What's your sort of what are you studying? What's your plan in terms of once football's over 20 years from now?
Right now I'm doing computer science. I should get my degree in the next semester, and I was looking into doing different things like internships. And when I was younger, I used to always want to work for Windows, because that was just something that my mom was a technology coordinator. So her being a technology coordinator, I was always around technology, and it kind of created some of my mind. Say, okay, I want to do this type of stuff because it's hands-on and it's interesting. It's technology. We use it every day. I might as well get a career in it. So
yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, obviously, it's kind of funny, man invented a wheel how many ever hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, and it took a long time before they sort of made evolution. You look at the evolutionary gaps now, they're just, everything is so rapid in terms of development. To think that when I was your age, you barely emailed. The internet was kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
And then to now you got a computer you hold in your hand every day that's more powerful than any computer I had available to me when I was in college.
Yeah, then it's like it's a money maker. Like, you can really make money off of having a cell phone nowadays. Just with all kind of things that technology has brought to this world. So
right, yeah, and so one of the things we're doing, we're using your name, image, and likeness. We're promoting your brand, and you're able to capitalize on those opportunities out in the community now, right?
Yeah, and I feel like it was a great move. I feel like how the pressure college athletes feel of going to the NFL or just being a college athlete period in college, because it's hard, From the outlooks of people think it's just easy, we got it good like that, but it's really hard though. It take a lot of mental focus. So I'm glad they brought something special like that for college athletes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reality is too, it's like, you might have been in a different situation than some guys, I don't know if you were or not, but like, by the time, while it's great that the school provides the education and the room board and, opportunity to play football, all those things are undeniably awesome. But I mean, you talking about like if you got a girl you like, you want to take out on a date. I mean, you might have $700 in your pocket every month. That's all you get. All you getting as part of your full ride, and you don't have the ability to work a job. And so, because you don't have the time to work a job, and so, unless your parents are supporting you or helping you, it's really just not a lot of money to do that kind of thing. Go to a movie with a friend or whatever. And so, to allow kids to use their name, image, or likeness to make a little bit of money so they can go on a date or whatever. I mean, I think that's obviously a great benefit.
Yeah.
The least we can do for guys who are, making us proud on the field. So, all right, so let's talk about it, man. You're a well-honed athlete, so you probably watch what you eat. But what are some of the things that you really love about New Orleans cuisine?
I'm really big on po' boys.
Yeah,
I love po' boys. Beignets. I think I like beignets. I'm just trying to think about all the different types of.
You're speaking my language. I took my kids there last weekend. Cafe du Monde.
I'm about to say, yeah, they got the best beignets I ever tasted in my life. Mm-hmm. It's probably that's probably a weird one. People won't even expect is Manchu. They got pretty good quality wings. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite ones. So
yeah, let me ask you this. I don't think they're around anymore, but one of the greatest things to order when I was on campus was we used to get the flyers. It was Roman's Pizza. They still have those? You ever see that sign? They used to hand out stuff on campus. I don't even know if they're still around.
I don't think so.
Man, the Roman's Pizza, they give you a coupon. Like you get, this is back in the day when people did flyers and paper. I know it's not like a prehistoric person, but you get like a flyer and it'd be like you clip off the little coupon, and one of them was like the Roman special sandwich was like ham and pepperoni and a couple other Italian meats and some melted cheese, some mayo, all in a pressed Italian panini. They cook it in a pizza oven. That plus some chips and a drink was $7.99. I mean, you talk about for a college student, it was one of the best sandwiches in New Orleans. It's not traditionally a po' boy, but y'all missing out. Y'all don't have the Roman special available to you. That was fantastic. Is there a particular po' boy place you like over others around here?
Let me think about one. I really don't have one specific that I just go get one from. I think some of the best ones that come out the gas station areas and stuff like that. I think they serve some of the best po' boys.
Yeah. Now, look, that's a proud Southern tradition. The Mississippi, they love their gas station food. You go get chicken on a stick, you go up to Ole Miss or something. But fried chicken at a gas station is great. We got that here. So Popeyes is the legend. But there's a lot of good chicken at gas stations around here. Well, so let me ask you. This is an important question because we love barbecue on this one. Is it for true? Like, do people from Alabama really eat the white sauce, or is that something that's kind of new? Is that something that you grew up eating, the white barbecue sauce?
I never heard of it. I honestly never heard of it. My folks, we don't, but I have no idea what I have no idea what white sauce is.
So look, after you get your thing, you got to go to we plugged them already, but you got to go to Central City Barbecue, okay? And they got like 4 different sauces. They got their spicy sauce, they got their sweet sauce, and they got their. Well, you do like barbecue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They got one other, and then they got the Alabama white sauce, is what they call it. And I've seen this at other places. Pesh has it in a dish they have, but they always attribute it to Alabama. But I really only seen that come up in the last 5 or 10 years.
I haven't. It probably was something that was like something old people came up with, but like me personally, like me being from Alabama, I would have seen it if it was a thing, So
yeah, statewide, and it could just be is from one little pocket of the state, right? Maybe it's just the people in Birmingham. So I don't know. I mean, although Montgomery's not that far from there. Now, let's see. So, as far as the barbecue places go, Alabama does have a proud tradition. One place that I had to stop in because of the institution was Dreamland.
Yeah, Dreamland, yes.
Yeah, so did that one in Tuscaloosa on the way up to the mountains one time. My kid actually goes to camp every year in Minton, Alabama.
What is that's up in the hills area?
Yeah, right south of Chattanooga.
Okay, gotcha.
Go through Fort Payne, and then the band Alabama is from Fort Payne, and they got pictures of those men with their beards and you know what I'm talking. Those guys, right? They're interesting look they got. I mean, they got like they're 8 times the size of real life. Just pictures all over the town on every corner. You gotta you feel like Roll On Alabama. You gotta put the songs on the way up the hills. But on the way there is Tuscaloosa, so you stop and get Dreamland. I know they've expanded out, but for my money, I've had it in Birmingham, I've had it in Mobile. The Tuscaloosa is the best location. Have you tested them all to be able to tell me if that's true?
I think it is. The one in Montgomery isn't as good as the one in Tuscaloosa.
Okay, and they got one in Montgomery now.
Yeah.
Now the aficionados there say Archibald's is better, but I haven't had Archibald's.
I haven't.
Okay. Is there one where the barbecue otherwise is the best place to get food in Alabama next time I'm going through Montgomery?
Let me think of a place. I could tell you a wing. On the other side of barbecue, I could tell you a good wing place, Wing Master on Atlanta Highway.
Okay. So you keep coming back to the wings. You're a big wings guy?
Yeah, I'm a big wings guy.
Now I know in Atlanta they love their lemon pepper wings. We don't really have a defined wing style here in New Orleans. What's your favorite flavor?
Spicy barbecue.
Okay. And then have you know what wings are like? The Korean barbecue.
I tried one of them. I tried one of them at Buffalo Wild Wings. That was all right.
Yeah. Speaking of, okay, I got to try Manchu because you tell me I haven't had those, but the Bayou Hot Wings right there behind campus is good. They're way better than Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep, I didn't had it. So I didn't had it for my freshman year. I used to always walk with my teammates. Keelan, I used to walk with Keelan, Tajay as my roommates. We used to go over there and get stuff from Bayou, and I had it so much that I didn't got tired of it.
Yeah. And then they had Moe's back there too, walking distance, but they closed
Moe's,
down.
yeah. Moe's was pretty good. Then we used to go to Moe's. I think after the summer or the spring camp, I can't remember, but we went my freshman year.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you do ball crawfish?
Me personally, I'm not a big fan of crawfish. My dad loves crawfish, but I'm not a really big fan of crawfish.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll stick with the po' boys. What's the best po' boy style? Shrimp. Okay. So we like the fried shrimp. We're a little off on boiled crawfish. Maybe we'll get you in the crawfish. We'll ease you in with some fettuccine or something. Get you going on those, and then we'll get you to the ball stuff. Maybe you just need to have Bradley boil some crawfish before you get the good way.
Tulane boil here.
All right, man. Well, so let's see. So let's look forward to next year. Okay. Have you kind of peaked? We're in spring ball now. Are you back on the field after?
Yes, sir. I'm back on the field. My first practice was last Thursday. No, Tuesday. Tuesday was my first practice.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't have to scare us like that, right?
Yeah, I know. It was honestly a bad decision. I feel like it wasn't the right decision. Then I felt like it wasn't the right thing to do because how they showed me tremendous love at Tulane. I got great teammates. I feel at home here, and I feel like I made a bad mistake.
Hey, look, it's a good thing. My wife will tell you I make bad choices every day. But the good thing is, when you get a chance to sort of bounce back from it, it's not always, life ain't always about what happens to you. It's how you react, right?
Yeah.
And so thankfully we it all worked out. You're back in the fold. You're here at Tulane, and then so you've now two practices in. You're saying?
Yeah, two to three. I got one unpadded, so it's been 3.
Okay, that's one of those mandatory things. And then let's see, Carlos is back from his injury, right?
He'll be back.
No, he's not quite.
He's almost there though. He's almost there.
Okay, and then Angelo's there. We got a pretty good group, I think, of some talented guys at the Joker spot, right? Are any of the guys moving around now because of your emergent? Maybe not. Whatever. Just to get the best guys on the field. Or Carlos going to be working more in. I mean, what we got going on in terms of the pass rush guys?
It wasn't really too much moving around. We got some pretty solid guys. Monty Dixon is doing really good this spring. Mm-hmm. Keith Cooper is improving. He's growing up. He played as a freshman last year, so looking to take that big step this year. I got a lot of faith in him. I really love our room.
Yeah, I saw some good things out of Keith last year. Early in the year, he kind of got banged up. He was playing through some injury down the stretch, but you don't see a lot of freshmen that come on looking the part like he does. I
Yeah.
mean, he came in with the body.
I'm about to say 6'4", long arms can reach from hip to this table. He got a lot of potential, a lot of tools. I feel like he gonna be one. I honestly feel like he's gonna be one of the best DNs to come through Tulane. I honestly feel like that by him.
That's awesome, yeah. And then on the inside, we got I think some really underrated guys. I mean, Freelu's flashed a lot over his 2 years, and then Eric Hicks has been a player. Is Al Thomas still around?
He's still around. He's dealing with injury right now, but he's still around.
You got big Noah. Noah's going to be a young guy that's going to get some opportunities, and then I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but
we just got Pat Jenkins.
Oh, that's right, Pat Jenkins from TCU.
He's a great player.
Have you got to look at some of the other transfers that came in, the receivers, McDougal and Lawrence Keys, and then Ashad at the running back position?
Ashad, he's pretty fast. He's pretty good. You could tell he's played. He understands the game. He played it before, and he knows what it takes. The wide receivers that came in, they pretty fast.
Yeah. So, have we gotten them all in a race? We have to see if Shad's actually faster than Tajay or not. I mean, Tajay would say, he's got work to do. Tajay set claims nobody ever gets. 9 times out of 10, the first guy can't get him down.
He can't.
There you go.
He made incredible plays. I think the UCF game, he took I think it was an inside zone play, bounced it out, made one miss, then he made 2 more misses and scored a touchdown.
Yeah, and I mean, look, nobody ever catches Tajay from behind. He's got great speed, but you don't think of him first as a speed guy. Is Ashad more of a speed first guy, or is he kind of like Tajay, where he's a more well-rounded guy?
I really can't tell right now because but I really feel like he's well-rounded. He can catch. He's fast, tough. I think he's a well-rounded guy. And then Cam,
I'm about to say, we talk about this. Cam actually, even though he's so big, you don't think of him as a speed guy. Cam's actually got
pretty fast.
He's got a lot of wheels. So, and then you got the young guy and the Celestine from the North Shore in there.
The running back room they one of our best rooms, I feel like, too.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of look in honestly, Darius, you look position by position, you see pretty quality depth pretty much across the board. I mean, running back room's deep, receiver room looks deeper than it's been. Those 2 guys coming in is going to help along with getting some guys healthy there. And Shay's got the advantage of having played in coach's system before.
Yeah, and Shay doesn't drop one pass.
Yeah, he showed out early last year too. That Oklahoma game, he was impressed. I was like, man, because as a fan, you're kind of skeptical guys making a jump from D2 whether he can handle it, and it's like, oh, he belongs.
Yeah, he one of those guys I feel like I wouldn't say shouldn't have been D2, but I feel like he could have played D1 ball coming out of high school.
Well, as you know as good as anybody, man. I mean, so much of it is circumstantial. When you get recruited, how you get recruited, all that. I was a big recruit for some reason. I swear it was just like dumb luck. It's like a combination of being the ideal size and early test score, and like some service picked up on me early. This is before 24/7 and all that. And
was Huddle around then still? Well,
no, they didn't have Huddle yet. No, man. It was like, so they couldn't actually watch the film and see I wasn't that good. They just got my name, so I was on all the lists. I'm getting recruited by like Oklahoma and all these places offered me. I was like, man. I mean, at the time I thought it was great. Looking back, I'm like, I would not have been recruited that well in the age of Huddle. But so it can be good or bad, I guess, is how that goes. But guys like that slip through. I mean, look, you see it all the time. You see guys in the league, played at Fort Payne State and places like this. I mean,
Darius Leonard played for South Carolina State. I think it's a D1 AA HBCU school.
Yep.
He, one of the best linebackers in the league. It's a lot of players that be in situations like that. Cooper Kupp went to?
He was South Dakota State, I think, or one of those. Yeah,
one of those, and he one of the best receivers in the NFL from last season. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I mean, he never overlapped with him because he wasn't here any longer. But Coach Williams was a receiver coach at Tulane. He was Devontae Adams' wide receiver coach at San Diego State, I believe. before he was at Tulane. It's like, obviously another one, San Diego. I mean, granted, that's big time football, but it's Mountain West. You don't think of it as a power league, but Marshall Faulk's one of the greatest run backs of all time from New Orleans, went there. You just talent's talent, and then it emerges at different times. You know? I'm sure you can think back to some of the best kids in your high school, your 8th grade, they might have been all world, but by the time senior year came around, you and a bunch of others had passed them up in terms of ability to play.
Yeah, and I feel like with things like that, like your opportunity to get to have success is like the window is small. So when you get the opportunity, you should take it head on and take it and approach it the best way possible. Because some people only get one chance, some people get no chances. Some people might get two. You never know that. You just have to understand your circumstance and make the best of your blessings.
Yes, sir. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, sometimes opportunities present themselves. You don't even realize the opportunities at the time. And then you look back and say, if it wasn't for that, then none of this would happen. God works in mysterious ways for sure. All right, looking forward to next season. In terms of what would a success look like to you? And it doesn't have to be personal, or it probably won't be the way you're talking. It's be a team result. But if we're sitting here next year at this time, I'd say Darius was last year's success. What would it have looked like?
With all the talent we got, I think we can be conference championship contenders. I honest to God, feel like we could be conference champions, conference contenders for the championship. I feel like that we got so much talent. We working on it now. It's a work in progress. We had a rough season last year. I feel like that rough season last year they prepared us for this great year we're gonna have this year. I'm really manifesting and having a great year with the whole team. So
yeah, no, you're right. And look, man, it can turn around fast. I mean, I told other guests this, but the same thing. I mean, I went out undefeated, but look, we were 2-9, 2-9, and then boom, 7-4, 12-0. It doesn't, a lot of it was the same as y'all. There was a lot of talent there that just, for whatever reason, underperformed or didn't quite get the results you wanted. In a lot of those games, that second 2-9 year, 96, I mean, we were like winning or tied like in the third and fourth quarter in like 9 or 10 of the 11 games and only won 2 of them. I mean, we were beating LSU in the second half of their place. And Kevin Falk decided to take over the game in the fourth quarter and scored 3 touchdowns. But, up to that point, and it was just like it was always one thing or 2 things or whatever. And then once you start realizing as a team that, you can overcome that adversity and you overcome it quickly, good things start happening. And so I agree with you. I mean, I think y'all got all the talent that you need to contend for the league. And, now look. It's easy to say in a vacuum. That means beating Cincinnati. It means beating UCF. Houston. But look, I mean, we've beaten different times. We've beaten Houston and we've beaten Memphis.
Yeah.
And UCF should have beat them.
Yeah, we should.
Several times. SMU should have beat them several times.
SMU game is kind of like I think our rivalry game. Don't know. Houston, my bad. Houston. Yeah. Houston, I think that's our rivalry game.
Yeah, that's a nasty one. We never liked them either. And then, Cincinnati, I mean, look, Cincinnati, we had them in a ball game when they playing for everything. We're playing for almost nothing at that point. And we got a third-string true freshman quarterback playing with a hurt hand who couldn't throw him, and yet we were sticking in there because of the effort of the defense, because of the effort of guys like Tajay. I mean, really the whole team. I don't want to take anything away from anybody. Yeah. I mean, but you could see the commitment to the unit and sort of fighting through the adversity that y'all sort of fought and scratched through despite the results on the scoreboard. That speaks a lot to character. And it speaks a lot to collective character. And so when I look forward to next season, I can say, well, we got guys that run real fast. We got guys that jump high. We got guys who are real strong. But what I see is that I see a bunch of guys that play for each other. And I see a bunch of guys who have demonstrated some character, because it's easy to quit when things start going bad. And you really just didn't see that.
Yeah. And our biggest thing, I think Coach Fritz implied as his character, how you carry yourself, attention to detail, small things. And those small things is the difference from winning and losing the ball game, because, like you said, it would be games real close in. Then all of a sudden it just changed. It could have changed from a small miscommunication or a small mistake. you have to be very attention to detail. I think with football in the game in general.
Yeah, and so Darius, I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm gonna let us go out on that note. But you're clearly a young man who understands when opportunities presented and to take advantage of those opportunities. You got a mind to the future and good things ahead of you, man. So just keep grinding, and we're glad to have you with us at Tulane.
Yes, sir.
All right, and that'll do it for this episode of Jimmy O Show. Thanks for checking us out. Tell your friends, please subscribe. Thanks to Rue Fitness and Stack Coaching for having us once again, and we will see you next time.